Today, we're stepping onto sacred ground. We are talking about that moment before the breakthrough, that moment of resistance, that feeling of hitting an invisible wall when we know we need to look within, but something just stops us. Welcome back to another episode of Different Life Podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. This is a space for exploring the deeper currents within us, self-discovery, growth, and the courageous work of inner transformation. Have you ever sat down to journal, to meditate, maybe to finally address that nagging feeling or pattern, only to find yourself suddenly cleaning the kitchen, or scrolling endlessly, or feeling a wave of inexplicable exhaustion wash over you? I know I have, more times than I care to admit. We often label this as procrastination, laziness, maybe even fear. And while fear is certainly part of it, what if I told you this resistance isn't a flaw, but a profound signal? What if this very avoidance is the soul's sacred threshold, the doorway itself? That's our journey today. Crossing the threshold, reframing avoidance as soul-level wisdom. We hear a lot about doing the shadow work, facing our fears, owning our projections, integrating the disowned parts of ourselves. It sounds powerful, essential even, and it is. But what often gets skipped over is the messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes paralyzing approach. That feeling like you're standing at the edge of a dark forest, knowing you need to enter, but your feet feel glued to the ground. Think about it. What happens physically when you even consider diving into a difficult memory, or a shameful pattern, or a deep-seated insecurity? Your heart might race, your breath might shorten, your mind might go blank or spin into 100 distractions. This isn't random. This is your entire being, body, mind, and spirit responding. Neuroscience tells us this is primal. Our amygdala, that ancient alarm bell in our brain, perceives deep emotional excavation as a threat. It doesn't distinguish between a physical tiger and a tiger of buried grief or shame. The response is the same: freeze, flee, or fight. Avoidance becomes the flee response on a psychological level. But here is the soul-level wisdom, the reframing. This resistance isn't just a barrier, it's a boundary. It's your psyche's way of saying, hold on, this is potent, this is deep. Are you ready? Are you resourced? Do you have the support, the grounding, the self-compassion you need to navigate this terrain without being overwhelmed? Imagine a wise elder guarding the entrance to a sacred temple. They don't block everyone arbitrarily. They assess. They ask, do you have the right intention? Are you prepared for what you might see? Do you have the tools to return safely? Our resistance is that inner elder. It's not saying never go in. It's saying not yet. Prepare yourself. This matters. This is why the shadow calls us through the resistance. That feeling of being stuck, that avoidance, it's the first layer of the shadow itself making contact. It's the disowned part knocking on the door of our awareness, not with a battering ram, but with a tremor in our hands and not in our stomach. It's saying, I am here. I hold power, and I need to be met with respect, not forced. So how do we begin to cross this threshold with the resistance, not against it? 1. Acknowledge and name. The next time you feel that pull to avoid inner work, pause, take a breath, literally say to yourself, resistance is here. My inner elder is speaking. My system is saying caution. Just naming it removes some of its paralyzing power. 2. Get curious, not critical. Instead of berating yourself, why am I so lazy? Why am I so scared? Ask gently, what part of me feels unsafe right now? What is this resistance protecting me from feeling or remembering? What resource might I need first? Calm, support, or maybe safety? 3. Respect the pace. Your soul knows its own timing. Pushing too hard can re-traumatize. Sometimes simply noticing the resistance is the work for that day. Maybe the next step is just promising that frightened part that we will go slow, we'll be kind. 4. Seek the wisdom in the avoidance. Ask, if this resistance had a message for my highest good, what might it be? Often, it reveals a need for more grounding, more self-compassion, better boundaries in your outer life, or simply rest. When we reframe avoidance from a failing to a form of sacred communication, the entire journey shifts. That threshold isn't a wall to bash down. It's an invitation to pause, prepare, and approach with reverence. The shadow calls us through the resistance because it demands to be met consciously, not conquered. It's a call to wholeness, not warfare. That knot in your stomach, that urge to scroll, that sudden tiredness, it's not the enemy. It's the beginning of the dialogue. It's the soul's way of ensuring that when we do step across that threshold, we are ready to meet what we find with presence and care. So, my friends, the next time you feel that familiar pull to turn away from the inner work, remember, you're not failing. You're standing at the threshold. Take a breath. Listen. Ask what's needed. Honor the wisdom in the pause. The shadow isn't calling you into darkness. It's calling you home to the full spectrum of your being. And that journey across the threshold, it begins with honoring the resistance as the sacred guardian that it is. Thank you for walking this path of discovery with me today. If this resonated, I'd love to hear about your experiences with the threshold. Share your thoughts on our social channels, and let's continue the conversation. Remember, your resistance might just be your wisest guide. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers within. This is Muhammad Bashay, inviting you to embrace your different life.